For a moment, I think I forgot the intro. It's been so long. Welcome to Daleks Nights, the Daleks Podcast live show. I'm Randy.
I'm Melanie.
And I'm Jesse.
Savannah, I know. Just before we went live, I clicked over and I seen the comments in the Facebook group. I know you guys were waiting. I appreciate the patience.
Mm-hmm. It's a virtue.
Yes. I hope you guys can hear Melanie and I okay. And Jesse, of course, but I know you can hear Jesse. His volume's always fine. Yeah. It's 2022, guys.
Woo.
Woohoo!
All the holidays have come and gone.
All the good ones, anyway.
All the good ones.
Yeah, well, that's because it's a new year and literally none of the holidays have happened yet.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Sorry.
New Year's Day, maybe.
No, all the holidays are just done. They're gone.
They're gone.
Paul's commenting already. Yes, I apologize for my jank background situation. So, as Savannah pointed out, Melanie moved in, and I bet all her stuff is behind him. If you mean all her stuff, you mean Melanie. Yes, she's behind me, and she does not want to be on screen. So we have this screen thing, and it's not really a proper green screen. So it's still doing the weird, like, janky Zoom background replacement thing.
I have a conspiracy theory that those are actually vapor trails, like chemtrails, but for Randy. Those are Randy chemtrails, which are worse. I don't know how, but they are.
They are. No, I'm seeding the land.
You're giving yourself COVID somehow.
Right.
In fact, I have to disclaim that in case we're on YouTube because they'll shut us down for any disinformation. So that was a lie. He's not giving himself COVID.
No, definitely not. That would be indecent.
Maddie says he thought you were doing stand-up, and I totally agree. That looks like a stand-up background.
It does. I know. It's not great.
He's a stand-up gent.
What's the deal with... I don't know. I don't know. I don't have a 15 planned.
15?
You know, a tight 15. It's stand-up talk.
Oh, okay. I don't know stand-up talk.
He doesn't just look like one. He talks like one, too.
Right. So, yeah. So this is a temporary setup. That's why we're so late. Sound, it's the whole two microphones in one room thing. It's never good. There's no good ways to deal with two microphones in one room. So we are troubleshooting, and hopefully we'll have something figured out. So it'll be a little bit higher quality going forward, but it's all right because you know what? Melanie's here.
Uh-huh.
So
Randall's not alone anymore.
Right.
And Bonsai's here.
So Spider Buggy.
We might get a Spider Buggy Bonsai. I don't know, meow or something.
Yeah.
His meows. He's old.
His meows in the mix. That'd be a meow mix.
His meows sound much different now than they used to. They're more like, he's an old man. Fine.
Sure, yeah. He's like,
get off my lawn. I'm gonna puke at your shoe.
Yeah. All cats make love to my shoes. I don't know what it is.
Is that how cats make love? They puke in them?
No, I'm not saying they puke in them. I'm saying they rub their everything all over them. They climb inside if they can. My shoes attract cats. I don't know what it is.
It's like a box, but for your foot.
Mm-hmm.
Cats love boxes.
They do.
Everything about I'm still preoccupied. Everything about this setup is going against it is. I'm doing it's all the cardinal sins of podcasts. Like as a podcast editor, I'm doing everything I hate.
Yeah,
I would hate.
Randy is in a perpetual loop of self-loathing right now.
Right.
If you're watching us live, sorry podcast listeners, but if you're watching us live, you can witness it for free.
Right. Oh, no headphones. Well, oh, God.
Yeah, that's weird.
It is weird. Anyway, I don't know what all we're going to talk about tonight because, frankly, we have too much to talk about.
Yeah,
we're
getting a late start, and that's not great.
No, we didn't yet. Sorry.
We need to though. It's so good. You guys need to.
Okay.
Really? Okay.
So don't look up is what Savannah mentions in the chat.
Yeah.
And you guys would dig it. You guys would dig it for sure.
I've been told that we have to watch it, and I told him we have to watch it. We just haven't had a chance yet.
Right. But before Melanie was told that we have to watch it, we did watch a bunch of other stuff. Okay, Savannah, we will watch it before next episode. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
I promise you that. And I need to promise Savannah that because she is a cat dancer. She is a patron over on patreon.com/Grolix podcast at the cat dancing tier. So we're giving her what would be the term? Her shout out. She gets a shout out. But also we have 3 regulars, so I might as well just give everyone a shout out. Hey Matt, what's going on? Hey Paul. At some point Jasper will jump in and say what's going on and
right
then,
before we end.
yeah, and then bounce out. So
and every once in a while Dana will pop in.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. Maddie D says, am I witnessing the fall of a podcast master? I think you've been witnessing that for 2 years.
We've really been on a downhill slide here.
Isn't cat dancer a job down by the airport? Paul asks. Is it?
No. Cat dancing is what they do, is what it's what they do in The Crow.
Cat dancing is what you do if you were viciously murdered and your soul is brought back by a crow for revenge and you feel upset about the whole situation, and the only way to release that inner turmoil, cat dancing.
Spirit of vengeance, you just gotta dance.
Unless the only time that's not the case is if you're Batman, then it's bat dancing, but that's
right.
That's
even with Catwoman, because you're a bat, so it's still bat dancing.
Right.
It's confusing, but that's how it works. We don't make up the rules. We just follow them, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay, so I feel like the best way to handle this is just to kind of rail off some of what we've watched, and then we'll just pick something.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, and we should probably throw it out to the chat because some of these they may not have seen, and then we'll lose them. So we don't want that.
Oh, God, there's
so many.
The problem is there's at least 3 of these. At least 3 of these. I know I could anyway do a full episode on any one of them. So,
well, and here's the real question: when are we going to do Doctor Who?
That's one of them for sure.
Because if we do Doctor Who, you know what happens.
Okay, so Doctor Who, Eve of the Daleks, the New Year's Eve special. We all watched that.
Mm-hmm.
Savannah says, oh my gosh, Savannah says, I finished season 2 of The Witcher in one day. We have also watched season 2 of The Witcher. That's another one.
That's the one that I haven't cracked.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I've watched the entirety of Cobra Kai, but I haven't touched The Witcher yet.
Yeah.
The new season's
Is anyone
out.
surprised?
I haven't watched any of the... Okay, Maddie D says, you're safe with me on Hawkeye, Doctor Who, and Matrix Resurrections, and The Witcher. Okay.
We've watched all of those.
Yes. Hawkeye we watched.
Spidermans.
We watched... I'll just want to mention real quick, Doom Patrol Season 3 is out, and we haven't watched the whole thing, but so far it's great, but I'll save that for another episode.
Mm-hmm.
Hawkeye season 1. And in terms of movies, Melanie and I watched Matrix Resurrections, and there's so much to say. There's so much to say about that.
Mm-hmm. Black Widow.
Black Widow, we finally watched.
Mm-hmm.
Which is only relevant because some of the characters are so great. Like two of them. Obviously, two of them are great.
Mm-hmm.
And Spider-Man No Way Home. We went and watched that Tuesday.
Yeah.
And somehow managed to avoid spoilers.
Yeah.
Like, that was one we had to go see because it was going to get spoiled hardcore.
Uh-huh. My sister told me she cried, and I was like, I don't want to hear anything more. Shut your mouth.
So, Jesse, what else? Oh, Boba Fett. We just watched the first episode of that.
So you're gonna love the second episode, I think.
Cool.
If you liked I remember us really loving the first episode of Mandalorian last season, right? This is like that again, like the first episode of the Book of Fett was very much like that episode anyways, because you get the flashbacks, right? This goes into that even more. You get a little bit more of the present day and you get a little bit more of the flashbacks. Or a lot more of the flashbacks, I should say.
Okay, Paul and Maddie D have not seen Spider-Man yet.
So we should talk all about it. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. No, that would alienate, and that would be 2/3 of our audience right now.
Well,
so we should not do that.
I'm not going to say anything other than my sister cried.
Okay.
Because I already did. But then again, my sister watches Hallmark all the time. So if that,
I think I got a little weepy, I got a little teary. I don't think that I like legit cried, but I was like, I'm feeling away.
Yeah.
There was a thing in that movie that I think maybe traumatized me a little bit that I was thinking about on the way home, and it was bumming me out in the way that, I don't know, only really dark things do. Right. But then I'll just say I gave it 4.5. I thoroughly enjoyed
That's solid,
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. I recommend seeing it as soon as possible. And even if you did get it spoiled for you, I don't know. I no, I don't want to say anything more.
Can I?
No.
Okay.
No, we need to stop. We need to stop.
Okay, yeah.
We need
to talk about that.
We need to stop right here because I almost did. I'm like, oh no, that in and of itself could be a spoiler.
What's Wheel of Time? Oh, Wheel of Time. Is that
Robert Jordan?
What's that?
It's Robert Jordan. My brother read all the books. Kevin Masman read all the books. Like, those guys were really into him. I was like, this is like if Tolkien got any more into the weeds.
Really? Okay.
He just really gets into the weeds from what I could. Yeah, I never got past the first book.
But that's the Amazon has that, right? Is that the Amazon? The Amazon Game of Thrones? Because everybody's got to try to have their
Game of Thrones, yeah.
Their Game of Thrones, including HBO. So
right. Which they just want to have their next Game of Thrones. They're just like, hey, let's make some more Game of Thrones.
It's so interesting. I feel like I've already talked about this on the show because this isn't new, but a while back when they announced or when they started like releasing info about the prequel series and stuff, just the sentiment towards it, I'm like, wow, I've never seen a show burn bridges like that with that last season. It soured people so much that there should be insane hype for the prequel series.
They were so mad that they were like, almost like they wished they hadn't started it at all. It was like, wait a minute, you guys had like 5 good years with the show. You couldn't say anything bad about, and now you're like, this was garbage.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I would rather them have taken another year or 2 even, which is crazy to say because I hate waiting that long, but to not rush it and to make it decent. And it wasn't even that I didn't like the way they went with it. It was that they rushed through all of it, and that's crap,
Right.
Maddie D mentions Matt Smith will be in it, so he's there. There for the prequel.
He looks
series.
like a Targaryen. I mean, I'll give him
Right.
that. Like, that casting is pretty spot on.
I'm down for it. Yeah, no. Game of Thrones was great, and yes, there were
Well,
flaws.
they'll have a consistent writing staff, as opposed to this is all based off of stuff that George R.R. Martin did until he stopped writing, and now we're gonna cobble together something we think sounds like him.
Mm-hmm. That reminds me of what's her name that we saw on Hot Things or whatever.
On Hot Ones.
Ariana or no Ariana. Whatever. You know who I'm talking about. Arya.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember her actual name offhand.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, she was talking about people getting mad because they weren't true to the books, and so she learned how to fight left-handed for her sword because the character in the book is left-handed. I'm like, that would be so freaking hard to do.
Right. Okay, so now Paul's rebooting, so this is not the time to ask. He said he's so intrigued about the Matrix, but I don't know if he means Maisie Williams. Thank you, Maddie D. Lifesaver.
Good kind, like the pineapple.
Pineapple lifesaver. So okay, I don't know where to start then. What do you guys? Maddie D did see Boba Fett 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't have a lot to say. I just watched the first one, but I like it because it. Hartnett.
Who's Hartnett?
Okay, I don't know. I'm trying not to get so derailed by the comments that the audio of this will be just insufferable to listen to later. It's gonna be. It's fine. It's fine.
Everything is fine.
Right here. Right here. What's up, guys? Yeah, I don't have a lot to say about Boba. I liked it. I liked the first season or the first episode quite a bit. But
Robert Rodriguez. Did you see
right,
that?
okay.
Directed
No,
by
I didn't know
Robert
that.
Rodriguez.
Cool. Well, good. He needs to do something good. Stop making movies for kids all the time. And
I love how like the first thing that I noticed was like, oh, and that's so Rodriguez, was they go into the Mos Eisley Cantina or whatever it is, the sanctuary, right? And it's like a Spanish guitar. Like Max Rebo's band is just like Blue Elephant and all, just like almost like mariachi up in there.
that's pretty good. Yeah, I like that it has the Western theme, and I'm assuming, I could be wrong, maybe they'll be on planet quite a bit. I don't know, but I'm down with that.
Episode 2 makes it seem like this is pretty much home base for a while.
I like the idea of a kind of Westerny, local, not political, but kind of political crime drama.
Like Deadwood, but
Yes.
in a desert planet.
Yes, with aliens.
Yeah.
And people named Boba.
Boba.
And Boston Dynamics dogs, except, you know, it's Star Wars, so they have to have wings or something.
Right.
That was my nephew's favorite part of the first episode. Was he's like, oh, there's a Boston Dynamic dog.
Yeah, robotic dogs.
I think Hawkeye might be safe to talk about if we have anything to say.
Right.
Well, Kingpin.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do
Randy
you
was
not
like,
talk about
D'Onofrio.
Kingpin?
And I was like, no, they're not going to have D'Onofrio. That didn't look like him. But then it was, and I was pleasantly surprised because I love D'Onofrio.
There's other things I could say, but I won't. But I was excited to see D'Onofrio.
Mm-hmm.
There are other things we're not talking about this episode that made me also super excited. That for some reason come to mind right now. But yeah, it was great to see D'Onofrio in it. Man, when that the first scene he's in, it's a bit of a bummer. It's just one episode, you know. But the first scene he's in, the shot's holding on him,
which is the first scene. Like they open with him.
His eyes Vincent D'Onofrio. His eyes like twitching the whole time, and you see it. It just keeps. I was like, Oh, it made me worried for him, but he's a very twitchy Kingpin.
It's because he's wearing a man suit. He's a bug under there.
Yeah.
Right, Edgar.
Edgar suit.
No one calls me Edgar. It was cool seeing him in here. I love the idea that I like the Netflix series. So we've talked about that before. I like the Netflix series.
Mm-hmm.
So even if like it doesn't necessarily pull in all those events, I'm a little surprised. I'm a little surprised they would be willing to do that. I always heard Feige was not a fan of what they did with characters over there. I don't know why.
It doesn't make any sense after you watch Hawkeye, because Hawkeye had just the body count on this final episode of Hawkeye alone. Like, whoa, giving those Netflix shows a run for their money in terms of death.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Maddie D says he's a great Kingpin. Loved him in Daredevil. Yeah.
He was so good.
Awesome. But I feel like he's a little powered up in this.
Oh,
yeah.
He's so comic book powered. He rips a car door off. Just rips it off.
Mm-hmm.
He takes an arrow to
hit
the
by
chest.
a car.
Yeah, he
He gets hit by a car first and then an arrow to the chest.
Yes. Which was quite shocking. I was like, whoa. But no, he's pretty powered up.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think he's done?
No. Nope.
No.
Did I send you the comic panels?
No. Or maybe
it's almost panel for shot for shot. It's almost panel for panel what happens in the comics. And in the comics what I don't know how spoilery we want to get.
It's fine.
We basically got carte blanche to spoil this one. In the comics, she doesn't kill him. She blinds him because she knows that would cause him more pain to be more like Daredevil. Because at this point, Kingpin already knows it's Matt Murdock. I think he knows in the show, doesn't he? He knows in the show too.
I think
Didn't
he does.
Figure it out in season 3?
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Right.
I think so.
Yeah, because he went for his real persona, instead of his character, whatever. You know what I mean?
So, like in the comics, it's very similar, except instead of Ronin, it was Daredevil, where the Kingpin was pitting Maya against Daredevil because she believed that Daredevil was involved in the death of her father. So, almost exactly the same, only sub in Ronin.
Interesting.
Instead.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Maddie D says he knows in the comics it's supposed to be all muscle and not fat, which is why Kingpin's so big. Yeah, I know in the comics he's like kind of ridiculously powerful, even if it is just all muscle. Mm-hmm. But like he's super powered without being super powered. And D'Onofrio's a big guy, but it doesn't necessarily come across as all muscle.
He got flipping blowed up. What's a little gun gonna do?
Yeah, yep. That's
a good hit point. By a car, shot with an arrow, blowed up before that final scene.
Yeah.
Well, I hear, what's her name? Did you say Maya?
Maya Echo. Yep.
I think she's getting a show.
Yeah, she's getting a show. So I anticipate that he'll be back for that, even if it's just as like flashback story.
Right.
Because they'll have to fill in the blanks of that.
Overall, I liked Hawkeye a lot. It was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
As it should be, I think. From what I understand of the comics, Melanie read the big Hawkeye run, from a few years ago.
And Jeff Lemire stuff.
Yeah. So my impression of it was kind of fun. But they're dynamic, Kate and Hawkeye, like, good dynamic. I thought it worked really well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was surprised. I was sure the mom's boyfriend was a bad guy because he seems like
such a good red herring. He was so likable by the end of it. It was like, this guy's a bad guy. You watch. I was like, you know what? I don't even care. He's awesome.
The turn is so quick from he's a bad guy to like, he's just kind of a little comedic relief. Oh, he's so
kind of a doofus. I love him.
Yeah.
Yelena.
So the show sets up who she is, but we hadn't watched. We've since watched Black Widow, but we hadn't watched it yet. So that show was our introduction to her character.
Right.
I think she was a lot more fun in the show. I think
she is for sure.
If you're going to team somebody up with Kate, you make them have fun. That's kind of what it seems to. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She's kind of cool though. Like she's got this almost like she snaps into nap mode. Like she doesn't exist in nap mode the way that Black Widow did, but like she goes from Yelena, who is much more fun and witty and sarcastic, to I'm a Black Widow assassin.
Yeah.
And I like her wit, and this is true. I found in the show or the movie as well. Her character, the way she's written, she's kind of witty and funny, but it's also like kind of dark and just dry, her humor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciated that. It wasn't just the usual like, whoa, witty banter. It had a personality to it.
I think Kate and Yelena, like in one series, became my two favorite Marvel female characters. Like, sorry everybody that came before, they stole the show.
What was the other chick's name?
Kate Bishop.
Bad guy. The bad guy chick.
Oh, Maya. Oh, and she's great too. Yeah, she's great too.
I want to see a fight between her and Matt Murdock.
Yes. Yeah, that's how it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
And it's awesome because she's essentially like the Taskmaster. She can watch it and she can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Matty D kind of makes an interesting point. Although maybe he wants to know how Yelena goes from the end of Black Widow, getting info from Julia Louis-Dreyfus, to being hired by the Conjuring chick. My guess is maybe the Conjuring chick, like, she might have done the hiring, but the contracts go through Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
She's a handler for this for some reason.
Right.
I feel like we got like a backwards time jump. Like we saw the call as it happened, and then that, even though for us that's in the past, that was actually happening in real time in the show. Mm-hmm. Like it went to Val, and then Val made the arrangement, and then boom, she's in New York.
So I remember hearing. So Black Widow was supposed to come out, I believe, before Falcon and Winter Soldier. I believe. I could be wrong.
Black Widow was? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Black Widow was supposed to be way back when.
Yeah, because I got the impression that our introduction, because Julia Louis-Dreyfus just shows up in Falcon and Winter Soldier, and it's like, what? Who's this? So I was under the impression that she got introduced in the movie. It's even less of an intro in the movie.
No, it's more of a like, who is that kind of thing. It's like,
right.
What?
It's also interesting that like scene, and I don't recall this from any of the other Marvel movies yet. Of course, most of them had already been out before we got to, before the Disney Plus series started going. But like, just set up Hawkeye. Like that scene was just to set up the TV show, and I feel like we'll probably see quite a bit more of that.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I'm here for it.
Mm-hmm. Even if we don't like it, I'll watch anything because it's part of the universe. They suckered us in. Really,
these shows have been as good or better than some of the like most of the movies actually in Phase 4.
And I love how they tie things together even tighter, especially in other universe stuff too, like what's his name, Quicksilver and stuff like that.
Yeah. How they brought him in, yeah. Which was the first kind of nugget of a multiverse right there.
You're right. It is, it's Disney, really. And it's a big corporate machine, and it's a massive, huge product. Mm-hmm. And there's a part of me that just wants to hate it. But it is super, first off, it's entertaining. Most of the stuff is very and well made. But it is also super impressive, even though occasionally there'll be little plot holes or little inconsistencies. But how consistent over the span of how many years they are with just this ridiculously large kind of ongoing. It's not all one narrative, but the MCU stuff, the coordination it takes to keep that consistent across dozens of movies and TV shows, like it's pretty impressive, I think. Especially with the way, since it is like a huge corporate effort,
All they really need though is like one nerd, and then they're just like, "Hey, if we do this," he's like, "Nope, nope, it's gonna conflict with this. You're gonna break the canon. Stop it." So, that's all they need is one head nerd guy.
Be careful, Disney. You already own Star Wars.
Yep.
We can't have toxic fanboys on every property you own. Oh, wait, we can.
right.
Should we start talking about Doctor Who again?
Who's what? I'm sorry. Maddie D says, I just want more MCU with the Russells. Kurt, Wyatt, it doesn't matter as long as it's a Russell. World is a better place with the Russell Han family. Who is Wyatt?
Wyatt was U.S. agent, the new Cap in Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Oh, okay.
Okay, interesting. I didn't know that. I didn't realize that.
And Kurt was the living planet.
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
Right.
I remember that. Did they ever get married?
Goldie Hawn
and Kurt Russell? I mean, I know they were dating for like 20 years or something, but I don't know if they ever got married. They don't have to.
Right. I know
they're together. Why do you think it's weird they haven't?
I mean, no, not necessarily. I'm going for, huh?
I was wondering if you were going to set me up for that. Because
yeah.
Maddie D says, nope, not married.
We're not 20 years though yet.
No, we're only
like 15,
12, 13.
14, 15. Yeah, who knows? We'll have to check Facebook later.
Facebook remembers that for us.
Facebook does the math.
Yeah. What do we want to go to next? What time is it? Okay.
Let me go scroll back up and see what. Did Paul ever come back?
Hey, Paul, did you come back? Or are you still frozen?
I think we're gonna have to let it go. Oh, that's such a good joke. It's still funny. Right?
Because if Paul is not here, we could probably do The Matrix if we want.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he said he was intrigued by The Matrix. I don't know if that meant he had watched it or not.
Oh, I was assuming not, but Maddie D's seen it, so. And Savannah, I don't know if she's seen it or not, but she's probably sleeping by now.
Matt's got jokes in the comments.
He really does.
He's got jokes.
He's firing on all cylinders tonight.
Okay, let's hit The Matrix. I feel like I have a lot more I want to say about that than you guys want to say or hear. So I'll try not to. I'll keep it short. What did you guys think of this? Because this there's not a lot of in between on this. I've found.
Yeah. I actually do feel kind of in between about this.
Interesting. Okay.
Because I did, this felt like kind of a hodgepodgey movie. And, as much as I hate hodgepodgey movies, I also kind of love them too. Mm-hmm. It felt like two movies and one I really liked. And one was like, oh, it was fine. It was fan service, you know? And so like the first half of the movie, I dug it. I dug everything they were putting on my plate. And then they actually get into the Matrix, and I'm like, yeah, I've seen this.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. That's very similar to what I've heard people complain about when talking about it, even if they liked it. It's kind of the same thing. They're like, the first half it was great, and then it gets into like kind of
I still ate I was still there, like I enjoyed it because I just enjoy going back to the Matrix, like I watch Revolutions every once in a while. I like going into the Matrix, but also I was like, really, the Merovingian? Come on.
Right.
Although it was good to see him all like stressed. It's like, I'm an exile. I'm an exiled exile.
I was like, yeah, no, it's a Matrix movie. So What more can you ask for? It's a Matrix movie. But then again, I am not a fan of forced love stories, which in the beginning I kind of thought that's how the Matrix was anyway.
Right.
Because they don't do anything to make it feel like they should love each other at all. But they are.
She's not allowed to die because he loves her just too damn much.
I feel like that aspect. This is actually I feel like this is the first in the franchise that approached the love story a little bit better, like maybe the best. Because yeah, in the old ones, I hated it. I was like, it seems just so out of nowhere. It's just like, he's the one because the Oracle told me I would fall in love with the one, and I love him. So, it's like out of nowhere. It's like, okay, they had like zero chemistry, and it's not like they have some weird we witness them make some like emotional bond with each other. They are kind of feel like strangers at the beginning of this, but
they are.
It at least put in more time to establishing like that there's a love story there.
Right.
I'm fascinated by this. For one, of course, it's layers of meta over layers of meta over layers of meta, and it's also like there's definitely some sarcasm, like a lot of sarcasm to it.
Yeah, if I had a true criticism, I love Jonathan Groff, but I didn't know about him as Agent Smith.
Right.
Like,
right.
He was great as a sleazy CEO, but when it's revealed, and you kind of see it coming there too, but once it's finally revealed, you're just like, you maybe expect him to affect a little more of that Hugo Weavingness, and he had none of it. He was all still swagger.
Yeah, in terms of casting, that's the big disappointment, because I get what they did with the Morpheus character.
Right.
It's not really,
It's like a sequel character or an avatar for him.
Right. But and Maddie D says he didn't care for the meta stuff about the Matrix within the Matrix, but he did like how they made you think the Matrix isn't real and it's all in Neo's mind. I dug the meta Matrix within the Matrix thing. It's kind of I feel like it's a smart updating, or at least adapting, like to make it a game. The original.
I love that it was old code in an old game. Like they found this old thing and an even older thing and an old thing, and they were like, "What does this new thing mean?"
Yeah, well, and the fact that they start it basically like it. There's so much like stuff going on with there about sequels and reboots in general. It starts with the opening scene of the first movie, except it's not, and that's not Trinity. Like, who's that lady? But it is Trinity. And so,
and they play it pretty straight too. Like,
right
it's
off
not
the bat,
really
it's
played for laughs, but for us, it's uncomfortable because that's clearly not them, but it is the scene.
And it's totally this scene, because I was saying the lines before they came out because I've seen this. I know this. I've seen this a million times, which I think is the point. But also, I think part of the reason, other than some of the people who find, I guess, I don't know, not political reasons, but there's people that find reasons to dislike lots of things. I don't think that's the main problem for a lot of people with this movie that don't like it. I think it's that, yeah, they're fans of the Matrix. They wanted a Matrix, and this is kind of an anti. And I don't necessarily agree with the people that are like, well, Lana made it bad so it would bomb and they'd never have to make another Matrix. I don't think that. I think that's this movie's version of being subversive. Is like, it's kind of the anti-sequel, anti-Matrix in a way. At least the first chunk is, before it's like, nah, it's a Matrix movie. We're gonna go. Here's some world building. Here's what's like, and I kind of dug the world building. It did get a little slow, I think, once they're in IO.
I kind of dig what you're saying though, because even once they got into whatever, IO, okay, that's what it's called. It's almost like because Jada's like not having it. She's like, war with the machines? Nah, we're past that.
Yeah.
Matty D says he had a 10-minute argument with his wife that the woman wasn't Carrie Ann Moss. He won the argument. Just don't tell his wife. No, in the opening scene, yeah, it's not. It's like it's a recast, but that's also where the new Morpheus come from. Was yeah.
I like that. I like what they did a little bit with the Morpheus guy, where he's both.
He's a combination of. Was it just an agent or was it Agent Smith? Maybe it was just an agent.
Yeah, I think it was just an agent. It was. I could be wrong, or maybe it was Smith. Maybe you're right. I don't remember. But either way, Morpheus and an agent, be it Smith or otherwise, combined into one character for somehow. But I liked also that he was not a real person. I mean, I guess it depends on how you feel about AI.
He was AI though. He wasn't an organic person. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did appreciate, speaking of IO stuff, the idea that like they have digital people, I guess, or sentience. You can have like a metal little pinball, not pinball, but avatar in the real world. So like people are hanging out with AIs in the real world.
Oh yeah.
There's some cool ideas there for sure, for sure.
Except some of the machines being like birds.
Weird. Yeah, weird.
Real weird.
So I didn't mind that stuff. Man, it being an anti-Matrix movie in a way, not in a way that disrespects, I feel, and I think a lot of people feel it disrespects the original series, but just like it's just a different, like it's a different message. It's doing a different thing, and it's going to use. There's so many years separated between now and the Matrix, and the Matrix has been analyzed to death. All that meta stuff with the marketing department and stuff like really got a lot of that point across. But so when it does get to the Matrix stuff, it's cool that it's like, you know what though? You're still doing world building. There's still a lot you could do in that world. It always surprised me that the franchise just kind of like, maybe it was burnout, but just kind of ended, just stopped at a certain point.
I did, like I said, I don't really care for the love aspect of it, but I love somebody dangling while they're flying. That is like the best. If I was gonna fly with somebody, that's totally what I'd do. I'd be like, put my arms out and I'd hold their hand and just let them dangle and be like, ha 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 ha.
Right.
Oh, that was great.
It's okay. Oh, you.
No, I asked him for his nerd card there.
Matt and Jesse are having a conversation.
Sorry, I was having like some dissonance in my brain. I was like, that wasn't called IO. So yeah, for our audio listeners, IO is where all the Matrix people live. OA is where all the Green Lanterns go. In case you wanted to know.
IO away.
Okay, I'll say one more thing about the Matrix real quick. Just that I appreciated that at this point, Neo, he's not really even, he just doesn't care. He's just like, he doesn't care about any of it. He doesn't care about the machines. He doesn't care about living in the illusion. He doesn't care about.
He just wants a cup of coffee.
He just wants, he's like, we got to get Trinity. I don't care about any of this other crap. I don't care about the real world or none of it. We gotta go get Trinity. And I was like, okay. See, it's interesting to take the Jesus character from the original trilogy and put him at a point like, I mean, he's been resurrected, but put him at a point where he doesn't care. He just wants to hang out with his chick.
Yeah.
Wait, Matt, you win. You can keep your nerd card. That was too perfect.
Yeah.
I don't know how you did that.
He said if you combine the two, which is the IO and OA, you get Iowa. So there you go.
Yeah. Phonetically, you do.
Mm-hmm. I enjoyed. I'm sorry about the Matrix. I enjoyed the what is he called? The psychiatrist guy.
The analyst. Yeah.
I well, all of the Matrix, especially if you start with the game part, anybody should question what's real and what's not. But that guy helped. Yeah, I think make it like he had some good arguments, and I'd be like, yeah, maybe he is just crazy. Who knows? I'd be easy to brainwash, I think. But
I think they push it there far enough that it's pretty interesting when the Morpheus character pops out of the bathroom.
Yeah.
Where you're like, wait, no, if this was the real world, then how did the computer character just pop into the real world? Mm-hmm. But if this isn't, so you got computer characters popping out of computer games within the Matrix, like it has a nice level of like mind-bogglery.
Mm-hmm.
It's a new word. Mm-hmm. Mind-bogglery.
I also enjoy that. I don't know if it has to be just within the Matrix, right? But that the artificial intelligences are real enough that they have like disputes, like you killed my father and therefore I am going to end you, stuff like that.
Right.
It makes it, because it's like them and the machines, but it makes it much more real and personal from the robot's perspective, the machine's perspective, whatever.
How do they have children though? And I know this is something that was established in the other movies, but that's the one thing. You want Trinity is now the one. I understand. I can make that work. I get it. And there's a whole thing. If you guys want to get into it, we don't have to. But how do AI have children, and how does the children grow in age? Like at what rate do these programs age?
Well,
that little girl was a little girl in part 3 or 2, and now she's a grown woman AI sentience, and her dad's
and a robot bird or something.
And a robot bird. How's it work? I don't get it.
Well, I think if you take some of one code from one program and some from another when they fall in love, and then you mush them together, then you make a new AI, and it just learns through, however they learn, I guess. Just give it a lot of data, and then the more data it gets, the older it gets, and then bam, you got a new.
Who's your data?
Maddie D says, "Hello, my name is Mr. Smith. You killed my avatar. Prepare to die."
Mr. Anderson.
I wish they would have got Hugo Weaving in there, because he's great. I feel like he's like, okay, you got to have Keanu and you got to have Hugo Weaving. You could ditch Carrie-Anne Moss, and because not to say she's not an important character, but she was not the second most important character.
She's unlikable in every single one of the Matrix movies. I'll say that.
She does.
The best thing she ever did was Jessica Jones, because you're supposed to dislike her.
Yeah,
right.
Like she's so good in Jessica Jones.
Yeah, she is. I agree.
But yeah, Hugo Weaving. I wish they would have had him in here.
Mm-hmm. The last thing I'm going to say about the movie, it's worth it just for the end portion. Not the very end, but like from the time they leave the building where they're all surrounded. Oh. From then until I don't know when, before the next day, but from when they leave that building for a good couple minutes, all of that makes it worth watching the rest of the movie.
The Swarm.
Yes,
the
big
Swarm mode. You're going to love Swarm mode.
Yeah.
Which I would say is the one I would agree with. So overall, I like this a lot. I gave this 4 stars. So I enjoyed it quite a bit. Mm-hmm. I would agree, though, with a lot of the complaints about the action. Mm-hmm. Given that it's a Matrix movie, every action scene should have been mind-blowing. Mm-hmm. Given it's a 2020 a Matrix movie.
Well, maybe after they blew up the helicopter and like broke buildings, they were like, maybe we need to tone it down.
Oh, right. During filming. Yeah, we did that story ages ago that they blew up a helicopter and it messed up a lot of businesses in when they were filming. Yes, Maddie D, that's what I think we're referring to. But so that's the one scene that I was like, wow, that's because it's dark. It's so dark.
Yeah. So that's basically they rewrote people, right?
See, there's confusion. I'm not sure. Were they actual people to begin with? Was it like an agent thing?
Right.
Or were they bots where they were planted there? Because if they could have agents just take over people, why wouldn't they just... You'd think that'd be easier than planning a bunch of bots. But then again, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Well, how did they do it in the original movies? Were those not real people that they took over?
They were. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then it makes sense that they would be now too.
But he was a virus at that point, right? Like...
Yes.
The agents could do it too. You're right.
Yeah. Well, even so, even if they were bots, like the first one we see, the woman didn't know he was some bot. That was her husband who suddenly jumped out the window. Right. I was like, wow. Maddie D says, at least the CGI didn't look cartoony. I would agree. In the second Matrix, when they started going like kind of over the top with the CG, with all the burly brawl, they call it. Yeah. The CGI was not great.
For me, in this movie, where the CGI really shines is actually in the way that they like now traverse things instead of using like payphones and stuff. Like the stuff they do with mirrors in this movie was pretty cool, and the way that they like the cut scenes are actually pretty fun. And I don't always say that about cut transitions like that, but they were pretty seamless in a good way.
I lied. I have one more thing I have to say, but I'll wait if you want me to. Cats. The cat. I like the cat in the show, and I love the end part where the cat thing because
the cat reveal.
That
actually did make me think of Bonsai for a second.
And then we went to the Catrix. Was that what it's called?
Oh, the Catrix. Because there's if you watch the post credits or the mid credit scene or whatever it was, it's really kind of a ridiculous throwaway scene with more of the marketing people. But the Catrix's stuff, you can go watch it. It's been on YouTube for years.
Yeah.
It's just slow motion footage of cats doing backflips and jumping around with Matrix style to it, Yeah, Matt says agents could take over anyone plugged into the Matrix according to the first one.
Yeah. Well, that's dumb. That's just harming their stock or whatever.
Right. Yeah, traversing through the... Matt agrees with Jesse. He liked the traversing through the tiny mirror into a bigger space. Segue to TARDIS. Oh, now we got the chats making our segues for us. Thanks, Matt. You're a pro. I don't think this was a wokest agenda, but I'm just saying that's the other, of course, the natural
for Matrix,
for
Doctor Who.
Doesn't matter. It applies to everything.
Or
For
Hawkeye.
Matrix,
there were too many female characters in Hawkeye.
For Matrix
in New York City.
So let's talk about Doctor Who.
Jog my memory. I don't remember.
I liked it. It was a self-contained episode. After 5 episodes of nonstop, we've got to cram plot into every corner of 5 episodes flux.
It was the time loop thing where the Daleks were killing people in that building. And then
right. Okay.
Yeah, I like the idea. I totally agree with you, Jesse. It was nice to have, even if it was still just Doctor Who characters running through hallways. One location. Let's enclose it for a while. No more nonsensical jumping to different places on Earth for no reason other than it's globetrotting. No, it's stock footage with a title card over it. That's all it is.
Right.
Yes, one location. Nice. I liked it. I liked the concept. It's fun. Of course, time loops are always fun.
Yeah. I like the new characters. I like that the gal was like a misanthrope and the other guy was just like shy and a little creepy.
Yeah. I don't like it when they force romance into stuff because as Krabby, maybe, as that lady was, I don't really necessarily buy it turning into romance at the end. She just would feel bad maybe for a little bit, but I don't think it would turn into a relationship. But that's my opinion.
I was. It's not gonna last. Those two.
Yeah.
Like realistically, he seems too nice,
Uh-huh.
and she seems too not nice.
Yeah.
I'll say.
She wasn't friendly to anyone.
No.
She may be one of the first characters in a long time that bucked the Doctor at every turn. Well, not every turn, but for a long time. Like, wait, why are we listening to you? This is my storage unit.
Right.
Jeff. With all the things he does. This Jeff.
So Maddie D says, "I love the class. I loved it. Even the classic Groundhog Day storyline. I just want to know if we will get to see Jeff in a future episode."
Probably not.
I was wondering. I was thinking.
Dude is
about
prepared for anything. He's prepared for anything.
They're always talking about Jeff. He's not even
Yeah.
in this show ever. Also, he says, Melanie, you have no heart.
Which is not true. I have heart. My heart just requires more than 5 minutes repeated 5 times to fall in love. I think you got to give some stuff a few minutes. I mean, not a few minutes, a few months at minimum. But
Well, this has probably been going on for years because apparently the only time he sees her is when he goes in there on New Year's Eve.
that's one. So that's
the storage.
one day over 3 years. That's
Out of a year. How long has this been going on? I think he is. I think maybe she was a little hard on him, right? I think she's somewhat justified to be like, dude, you're a weirdo, because
he is a weirdo.
it is weird.
Especially when you find out what he's been storing
Yeah, like
while he goes to see her.
I'm going to store my ex-girlfriend's stuff in it's a full storage unit. Yet he takes years to even tell her he likes her. So does that mean he's spending years stalking each of these women until he gets up the nerve to ask them out, and then immediately he's like, "Oh, we're no good no more. I have to go put her shoes in storage."
Sometimes it's only a couple of days.
That's weird.
I think it's stuff he takes. Like, they're probably okay. None of those ladies, they're not going to ask him for it back because they don't know who he is.
They're mementos.
And it's like a huge storage unit. And he's got there's a whole shelves, and there's just like one little thing here. It's so sparse.
Uh-huh.
It's a weird
You
concept.
could live in that storage unit. In fact, I think Jeff does.
I don't think you're allowed to. Actually,
No, you're not. But I like his character though. I like the way he was acted. I like the character in general. I think maybe, I don't know, they went kind of hard on his weirdness.
I would like, if I had enough money, to have a storage unit full of some random food product just to weird people out when they went and looked at it.
Right.
What was the joke? Was it Yaz? Yeah. Did Yaz get a joke in where she's like, you know what? When you're eating beans, did you ever think, man, I really wish this had more beef in it? And it was just like, that's funny. Yeah. I never really thought about it. Beefy beans.
Oh, they finally addressed her crushing on the Doctor.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Wokeist agenda. Of course, I've seen. Man, you stumble across the wrong review of a thing on YouTube, and if you search Doctor Who or Matrix Resurrections on YouTube right now, you'll find nothing but the wrong kind of review. But it's a horrible rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And I followed it just a little bit today for Doctor Who. You just, like thumbnails where it's like, of course they got to pick like the worst freeze frame of Jodie Whittaker and the Daleks with like rainbow, and I'm like, huh, well, I wonder what they're complaining about in that one. So I didn't mind it. I'm actually a little impressed that it's like they're just like, boom, just put it out in the open. No more.
Yeah, I think I like how it was handled, honestly, because the Doctor, now that the Doctor's aware of it, because the Doctor's never aware of what's actually happening, and that doesn't just go for this version of the Doctor. The 10th Doctor seemed pretty clueless about Martha in general.
Right. He knew, though. He said later, well, I guess she kind of on her way out was like, give a little speech that should have clued him in. Martha, this is.
Yeah.
But you know, later he said she fancied me to some. You know, he knew.
Right.
But you're right. Especially Jodie's doctor, she's played more aloof to like emotion and relate, like more than Capaldi's doctor for a big one. Like totally just doesn't know how to act. It's like when Graham decided like he was going to have a heart-to-heart with the doctor because he's worried about his cancer, and she went like, I don't know, like
like I'm affable every time except if you get serious about a thing that would matter.
Yeah, she's like, oh, I don't really know what to say with this awkward situation, so I'm just going to look at you and then do a thing over there. And it's like, that's most doctor. I mean, that's interesting if that's the way they're going to take her doctor, but point is she's aloof. It's
like me, my sister. They're like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't know. We want me to buy you some shoes. I don't know how to do what to do.
I don't understand that.
It's okay.
I'm
a mystery. Captain Enigma.
Yep. Yes, you are. You said it. Oh, that said, I don't care for Dan. I've decided. I don't much like Dan. I don't care for his face. Don't like his expressions.
Really? I thought he was okay.
He's
in
fine.
This. He's actually, I actually liked him more in this than probably in most of the Flux.
Really?
I was like, okay. He's actually starting to grow on me in this episode.
He's so wise and he picks up on everything very quickly, which is
so quickly. Yeah. I mean, it only took him 3 years of traveling with Yaz, but
right.
I forget about that. They do that.
Right.
We'll take cheap shortcuts to establish friendships between characters who otherwise don't really know each other.
Yes.
Yeah, they do that a lot.
Yeah.
Chibnall's there.
The one thing I will give Chibnall is that, like, he really does just save the Daleks for the most part for the specials. So, like, I wasn't annoyed by the Daleks at all. In fact, I kind of loved them in this, and they had some great lines like, I am not Nick! And it was, except who's voicing that? Nick Briggs.
Yep.
So good.
Yep. Yeah, that was kind of meta. So, I will say though, this episode, it's not perfect. I mean, of course, it's not going to be. There's a couple things that bug me plot hole wise. One, the Daleks they're also learning each loop. Except, are they? Because pretty early on, the one Dalek was like, hey, when that lady gets into the elevator, I can shoot the panel. She can't go anywhere. I'll kill her. And then decide randomly, you know what? I'm never going to do that again. Even though there's several. She ran back in the elevator. I could do the same thing. No, she's fine. I'll let her go this time.
Yeah.
There's weird little things like that.
Or they know where they know where they are going to like reform or whatever. So just stand right there. And as soon as they exist, then do it,
Yeah, Maddie D says Dan does seem shoot in. I wish they had built him up more as a character. Yeah, and to be fair to Chibnall and the team, and Dan and his stupid wholesome face, they don't have a lot of time to work with, and they had a new character. They wanted to get rid of the other characters, or however that worked. So I get like they, take some shortcuts, but he does still seem like, I mean, this is his second adventure, and he's like, really, if you think about the Flux as one continuous adventure, this is his second adventure, and he's like, I don't know, he shouldn't be, whatever. He should still feel like a new one, and he does, but they try to take shortcuts, so he's just part of the team.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't care for the Doctor's big like rah-rah speech either.
Oh yeah, no, they haven't really gotten her right at all in terms of rah-rah speeches.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is. They try, but it doesn't work. And even if it's not like rah-rah, but anytime they've given her like a
rousing speech,
it just hasn't. Yeah, it doesn't land. And I think of, okay, this is a high bar. but the big Capaldi speech in the whatever the invasion episodes, I can't remember what those things are about war, and I give that's kind of like a lot of speeches in Doctor Who aren't going to hold up to that one, but that's like a 10-minute long speech, and it's amazing, and they can't give Jodie a like 30-second speech that really lands. I don't know. It's just not their strong suit.
Well, and I always think of the family blood for David Tennant as being one of the creepiest outro monologues, you know.
Right.
It's the oncoming storm. I was like, whoa, creepy. Yeah, and then the Zygons,
yes.
Yeah.
Zygons. I was trying to remember the names.
Well, even the War Doctor gets a good one in Day of the Doctor, you know. He's like, he has that moment, and he's like, oh! And then he does the thing, and then it was like, yep, here we go.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, you know what I know.
What do you know?
I know what you should be amazed by.
Good.
And that is that researchers have successfully reversed a gene mutation by using CRISPR. They gave a live mouse a exact mutation of Duchenne muscular dystrophy. Then they cured that mouse by correcting the mutation using gene editing. And they did and do whatever, have traditional gene therapy, where they inject them with like viruses that carry the new gene into the body, so it can make a new copy that's functional. But this way, they can just go in and use, basically, it's like, you know, they use it kind of like scissors to cut out the existing DNA and then insert the good fresh DNA in there. And it's way faster and more precise, you know? So it works wonders, at least in a mouse, but we're not allowed to do human trials on it yet. So, but yeah, it was amazing, and it completely reversed it. And it's a muscular deterioration disease. And they were like, it actually, after they got done with it, not only did it not deteriorate, but it ended up in the end, I think, better than it had been in the beginning. So yeah, it buffed up a little bit. Good job, mouse.
Good job, mouse.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay job, scientists.
Yeah, trust the science. Come on.
I think it's miraculous in my opinion. I can't believe that we have that ability. It's nuts to me that people aren't amazed by it constantly.
They're just not doing their own research, or they are.
Mm-hmm.
Matt asks, isn't that the cure for vampirism in the first Blade movie?
Well, the CRISPR, clustered regular interspaced short palindromic repeats, which is what CRISPR stands for.
I thought you were talking about that part of the refrigerator.
Put your mouse in there. It'll be
At
fine.
first, I was like, "What? The CRISPR?
Gosh.
Sprite?
No, they use a protein to rewrite your DNA, and it's nuts.
It sounds nuts.
I know.
Sounds like an anti-vax theory.
It's worse than that, even.
It works.
Yeah. I'm done though. So,
By the way, we're not talking about Spider-Man, but we did go to the theater and seen Spider-Man, and I think that's the first. Like we've gone to the drive-in, but I think that's the first movie theater we've gone to since.
It was weird.
Since the apocalypse began.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was weird a little bit.
It was the first time I went to that specific theater since I went and saw Mad Max Fury Road. So the theater that I went to watch Spider-Man was the same one as that.
Whoa,
that's how
one?
long ago.
Which
I went to AMC Classic because the other AMC closed during the pandemic.
Oh.
And I had gift cards.
We went to the Majestic, which is Marcus Theaters.
Yeah.
chain.
Yeah.
and so they have vaccinated only showings.
Oh, I didn't know that. Huh.
I enjoy quite a bit.
Yeah.
Just the idea of like, nothing rubs an anti-vaxxer more raw than they go to the theater and they look and oh, Spider-Man Far From Home, vaccinated only. Oh, I bet it makes them so upset.
I bet it does.
But we waited too long, and by the time we went just this week, Spider-Man was just in a regular theater. So we didn't get to go to the vaxxed only theater. We had to go with everyone else.
It just fills my heart with hope that even exists.
Yeah,
I know. I wished more of the theaters were that. It did stick. They must reserve it just for like the newest movies, because I'm pretty sure last week it probably was still vaxxed only. In the vaxxed only theater, but no, they just had general audience, whatever.
Yeah.
For it, so I was a little nervous.
Because it was full. Even though I didn't go like right away, like I waited.
Mm-hmm.
There were. What would you say, Melanie? It wasn't like packed full when we went, but there were still quite a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
For a 9:35 showing on a Tuesday night, it was still pretty full. And we went at 9:35 because like the 8:30 showings were all kind of full up. The 10 something was surprisingly kind of full up, or at least like the good seats were taken.
That's what I was going to say. There, down in the front, there were a few people, but for the most part that was open. But the above the where it raises up, most of that was filled.
Which when I was looking, and I had Melanie get the tickets, but when I was looking at the seats and I'd click a showing, and sure, there's a big chunk of the theater open, but like the seats, I gotta have good seats, and you see the like availability, and it's all full up around where you want to sit. I was just like, oh no, why?
Because those are the good seats.
I know they're the good seats, but I don't want anyone in there. And just go home with your. I don't know, you might be on clean.
That's how we're ending this show. Wow. With the unclean.
If you want more of this, quality. Go to let's see. Matt says, I hate it when people sit around my favorite spot. All those unclean people. You know where you won't find any unclean people at growlixpodcast.com, where you will be able to find more episodes of this show.
Mm-hmm.
Where's my bubble? Matt says, yes, I will be. I'll be the bubble boy.
I still own that movie. I love that movie. I never watch it, but like, yeah, the Bubble Boy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Gyllenhaal's one of his greatest hits.
Oh, I was thinking John Travolta.
Underappreciated genius, that.
John Travolta was the one in the older one, huh?
Yeah, that's what I was.
I was trying to remember. I was trying to remember who was in the older one. If that was one of the like, okay, John Travolta. Because I was also thinking about the fact that like the kid with the computer who wore tennis shoes or whatever, which I think was Kurt Russell, maybe. When Kurt Russell was known as like he was a Disney actor.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he kind of is again too, but
yeah, he is, huh?
He thought he got away, but they'll do anything.
He was able to kill people in a sports car for just a little while.
Right. He's Snake. Forever Snake.
Yeah. And Santa Claus.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Matt's typo just made a new human because I want to watch the movies of Jurt Russell.
Even better if it's Yurt Russell. If that's like if that J is pronounced like a Y, it'd be like Yurt Russell.
Oh, like
Jotunheim.
Yeah. What would it be? Not necessarily Icelandic, but
yeah, like Norwegian.
Yeah.
It's me.
You know, he's always Yak Burton.
He is.
I had an uncle, or not uncle, I had a great uncle named Orlin. Gosh, what was his last name? It's like Frieden, Orlin Frieden.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
Or-
yeah, for sure.
Orlin, friend. Yeah.
Orlin Frieden. That's how fresh my people were to the Americas.
All right. Yeah. Grokspodcast.com. Follow us on social media. Just throw a /Grolix podcast and our profile will be there.
Uh-huh.
And happy 2022.
Yeah. Hopefully it doesn't suck, even though Betty White's gone.
Right. 2021.
Suck it.
Took the one last swipe.
2021, the last of the white Christmases.
Wow.
Yep, you're right. It's true.
Mm-hmm.
It's not funny. What Jesse said was funny, though.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. Take it easy.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye. See you, Matt.